All right, let's get right into this. We're going to be talking about the incredible story of King Solomon and how even the wisest man who ever lived can fall. It's a story of unbelievable glory, for sure, but it's also about a downfall that didn't happen overnight. And that's what's so important, because it shows us how greatness can slowly, quietly unravel. So, how does a golden age actually end? We tend to think of these epic collapses as being super dramatic, right? Like one bad decision, one lost battle, and boom, it's all over. But is that really how it goes down? Does an era of greatness just stop?
Well, the truth is, the really big declines, they often begin with a crack that's so small you can barely even see it. It's this almost imperceptible change in direction, a tiny little shift in why you're doing what you're doing. And that right there is exactly what we see in the story of King Solomon. Okay, so to really understand the fall, we have to start at the absolute high point. I mean, this is Solomon at his absolute best, a moment of unbelievable divine favor and just unparalleled glory on earth. Just try to picture this for a second. He had finished the monumental task that his father, King David, had dreamed of. A magnificent house for God, the temple, was now standing in Jerusalem. His own palace was done. I mean, this was the absolute pinnacle. You can't get any higher than this. But right here, at this absolute peak, there's this one little phrase in the text that signals a huge change is coming. It's that first subtle crack, the first real sign that something's a little off. Did you catch that? All he desired to do. See, the focus has just ever so slightly shifted. It's not just about what God desired anymore. Now it's about Solomon's own personal to-do list, his own ambition. Now, don't get me wrong, he's still doing God's will on the surface, but the how and the why, well, they're starting to get a little complicated. And this is exactly what we mean by that subtle shift. It's that moment when a mission for God starts to become, well, kind of a mission for yourself. It's when you have to start asking, wait, is this for him or is this for me? The motives get all tangled up, and that is where the danger really starts. What's really fascinating is that the Bible records God appearing to Solomon 2 different times. And these 2 moments, they act like bookends to his early reign. But when you put them side by side, you see this dramatic, almost chilling shift in the tone. And the difference is just, wow, it's stark. The first time God shows up, it's all warm, positive, a flood of amazing gifts. The second time, it's much cooler. It's a warning. That little conditional if that was just a side note in the first meeting, well, now it's the headline. It's the very first thing God talks about. This is basically the message God is sending him. The path you're on right now, it's dangerous. All that security you feel from your accomplishments and your wealth, it is not guaranteed. It's a journey, a walk, and you, Solomon, are getting dangerously close to the edge. So that warning kind of sets the stage for everything that comes next. We start to see this really clear pattern in what Solomon's doing, a pattern of a man acting less like God's chosen king and a whole lot more like any other worldly ruler. He's building these massive fortresses, see? Fortifying his whole territory, making these really lucrative trade deals with other kings, and he's using forced labor from his own people to do it. These are all things a powerful king does to secure his kingdom, at least in the eyes of the world. He's just consolidating his power. Inch by inch, he was just stepping away from his unique, divine purpose and stepping right into the very conventional role of a regional monarch. The first question in his mind was no longer, what does God want? But more like, how do I secure my own reign? So here's the crucial point. This wasn't just some general vague drift into being worldly. No, Solomon was actively, and pretty flagrantly, violating a very specific set of rules laid out centuries earlier just for the kings of Israel. Yeah, you can think of this passage as a kind of divine checklist. It was a clear set of prohibitions, just a few simple do-nots, designed specifically to keep the king's heart focused on God and not on worldly power or wealth or a bunch of foreign alliances. And the text is shockingly direct about this. I mean, the rule says, don't acquire lots of horses from Egypt. So what does Solomon do? He imports 12,000 of them. The rule says, don't acquire many foreign wives. Solomon marries Pharaoh's daughter, and many, many others. The rule says, don't pile up excessive silver and gold. Solomon makes silver as common as stones in the street. So the case is clear, and it's pretty devastating, right?
The wisest king in the world had systematically broken the fundamental code of his own office. He ignored the very warnings that were designed to protect him.
But here's the puzzle. I mean, if he was drifting so far from God, why did his wealth and his power just keep growing? And that leads us to the final and maybe most powerful principle of this whole story.
And this is the trap. God's grace and blessing can keep flowing long after our own faithfulness has started to fail. Solomon could look around at all his success, the gold, the power, the international fame, and he could totally fool himself into thinking everything was just fine, even as he was spiritually sinking. The blessing itself became a mask for his decay. And this is really the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? A strong beginning guarantees absolutely nothing. Faithfulness isn't some single decision you make at the start of your journey. It's a walk. It's about finishing well, not just starting strong.
And that's the real question Solomon's story leaves us with. Is all the good fortune in our lives a sign that everything's okay, that we've got divine approval stamped on everything we do? Or is it actually a test, a challenge to see if we'll stay faithful even when we have everything we ever thought we wanted?